One. Hi, everyone. Welcome to our last day of Readers Workshop with our book, No More Noisy Nights. And I know I've really enjoyed reading it. I hope you have really enjoyed reading it. So I thought we could do something kind of fun and interactive on our last day of this read. And so when I was reading this, boys and girls, I noticed that this book, one of the coolest things about it is that there's just so many patterns. When I was reading it, I can kind of use the patterns to predict what's going to happen next because it was always following the same pattern. And so I'm going to play a clip of the video right now, just one part of the pattern I noticed, and let's see if you can figure out if this is a pattern you see that happens throughout the story. And I'm going to ask the teachers to share with me what they think the pattern of this part of the story is. So we're going to rewind just a little bit to this part. Here we go.
Could you please stop all night? I would like to sleep. Oh, I'm sorry, said the ghost. But what else can I do? Let me think about that, said Jackson. Jackson thought about it all day while he unpacked. After dinner, he put a box on the attic floor. Then he relaxed in his favorite chair.
I'm gonna pause right there. So there's so many different patterns in the story, but just the clip that I saw, what do you think is constantly repeated every time as we read the story? You can take some time to think about what you notice that always happens. And then when you're ready, you can give me a thumbs up. Ms. Hernandez, what do you think?
Well, I noticed in the story that every time that Jackson was upset because of the noise he was hearing from the other creatures, he was always thinking of a way to solve the problem. So he thought about it, and he was always trying to solve those problems. How can he get those creatures to stop making those noises?
Exactly. So I love that you mentioned that because that's his constant response every time he's trying to solve the problem. So I noticed that part of the story as well. Was there anything else you guys noticed that was also repeated? And if there's nothing, that's okay. Mr. Kimowich?
Well, I mean, just in the actions that he takes, he solves the problem and then he rests and he gets to do what he wants. So I think he thinks about it all day, he solves the problem, and then he knows that now it's his time that he can be by himself and doing something that he enjoys.
I love that, exactly. And so we mentioned two things that Jackson does that's always repeated. He solves a problem and then he relaxes, right? So that's constantly happening in the story. Is there a pattern with the creatures? Is there something that they're constantly doing as well? Ms. Rosales?
They're apologizing to him and just waiting patiently while they're sleeping while he's trying to figure out a solution.
Awesome. That is true. They're actually really kind and really receptive of Jackson's feedback, right? And so they're waiting for him to solve their problem, and then they play with whatever activity that Jackson gives them.
Yes.
So I thought it'd be really cool to kind of see, can we kind of be the authors and create our own creature and our own response to Jackson? So on our seesaw here, I created a little mini page. And teachers, I forgot to tell you, you can go ahead and grab a piece of paper and a pen if you have one. So while you do that, I'm going to explain what we're going to do on our seesaw. So I've taken a snapshot of Jackson, and this is the part of the story where he solves the problem, right? And on this side of the page, it's going to be your creature making a specific noise. What creature do you want it to be? What noise do you want it to make? And what do you want it to look like? And then you can decide, how does Jackson decide to solve this problem? What will Jackson give the creature that you're creating to really help them quiet down? So there's no right or wrong answer in this activity. We just want you to be creative and think about, this is the pattern I noticed in the story, and how can I recreate this pattern with my own creativity to really enjoy and take part in this reading. So I'm gonna give our teachers some time, and boys and girls, you can take some time to pause the video and draw on your seesaw and just come back and see what our teachers come up with. So go ahead, teachers, and maybe I'll also draw right onto this seesaw page. I have to think. Teachers, when you're ready, you can give me a thumbs up and we can share one at a time. Great. Miss Hernandez, would you like to share what you came up with?
Sure. So I'm imagining my creature is going to be a snake.
Ooh.
So the noise that he's making is with his rattles. It's going rattle, rattle, rattle.
Wow.
But the reason why he's making that noise is, again, like the other creatures in the story, I have nothing to do.
Ooh, I love that. Draw your snake as best as I can. And I love that Miss Hernandez was talking about how, I love how her animal matches the noise it makes. So make sure your noise matches the animal. Awesome. My little snake. And it's saying rattle, rattle, rattle. Oops. Awesome. And then as you're doing the character part, we can also think about how do you want Jackson to help the snake calm down? What activity would Jackson give the snake? And same thing, boys and girls at home, you can also, after you create your character and the sound effect, what do you think, how do you want Jackson to calm your creature down? Teachers, did you have another idea? I'm gonna put all our ideas together. Oh, go ahead, Missy Kimowich.
So I had a butterfly, and her name's Lila.
Nice. And what sound does your butterfly make?
She's singing, so she's going la 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 la.
How beautiful.
And then she's saying, well, what can I do? To Jackson when he comes up and saying that she's making too much noise.
La 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 la. Mm-hmm. And you named her Lula. What did you name her?
Lula.
Lula. Love it. You can name your creature too, boys and girls. Sorry, this is getting kind of messy. Awesome. And Ms. Rosales, do you have a thought or do you need more time? You're great. Okay, go ahead.
So I was thinking, well, what if there was rattling or clanking happening underneath in his cupboards where he puts all the pots and pans, and it's the mouse just going around in there, bored, not knowing what to do, and his tail is whipping around and clanking.
Ooh. And I love how you're choosing a specific setting for your character because they weren't all at the attic, they were all in different parts of the room or the house. So you can think of the kitchen as a place. And, you know, Miss T's mouse is not going to be as cute as Miss Rosales is. Wow, so cute.
Oh, that is cute, Miss.
That is very cute.
Here it goes. Downhill from here. And I'm just going to do this little squiggy. Okay.
Aww.
Aww.
So this is the mouse, and it's making the clink, clink noise. I love it, because that's the noise it might be making in the kitchen where all the pots and pans are. So I love how our teachers are really choosing noises that make sense to their character. Clink. Awesome. Did you name your mouse, Miss Rosales, or do I just say mouse?
You could just say mouse. I didn't name.
Totally fine. And then teachers, do you have any ideas as to how Jackson might quiet the creatures down because they're making noise? Miss Hernandez?
I think for my animal, Jackson could give the snake a tunnel so he can kind of go in and out, slithering in and out of the tunnel as many times as he would like.
Okay, I love that. So I might even do a complete sentence and say, Jackson gives the snake a tunnel. Awesome. So we can be really creative and you can think about, what would your creature need to not be bored? Just like when you're solving your own problems. Oopsie. There we go. Jackson gives the snake a tunnel. Any other ideas? Miss Yakimowicz?
I was thinking the first thing, maybe a book. I don't know. So maybe Jackson gives Lula a book to read.
Awesome. And I love that these are quiet activities, right, that they can do all by themselves. Awesome. And Miss Rosales, do you have a thought?
I don't know. I was just thinking maybe he could help somewhere in the bedroom, but I need help from my teacher friends. I was thinking maybe having a space where he can rummage through where it's soft. So either maybe pillows or like clothes, but I didn't want to create a mess for Jackson. I wanted it to be helpful though.
I wonder if Jackson gave the mouse a little maze, like a cardboard maze to kind of try to get out of. That's a quiet spot and an activity that could be kind of fun or stressful, but you know.
And cheese at the end.
Oh yes, with
oh, what a motivator. I love it.
Awesome. So we're really thinking about our creatures as we're creating the solution. So I love that we're thinking really hard about what makes the most sense here. Awesome. So do you see how there are no correct or wrong answers? It's just us being creative and having a little bit of fun of what it could look like to be an author, because we're all writers and readers. So I'm so excited to see what you'll come up with, the creative characters and solutions and sound effects that you're going to come up with. So have fun. We will see you again on Monday. Bye.
Bye. Oh yeah, don't forget to subscribe.